Hey Internet, it's us. And this is the penultimate video, Dagon.
No, it's Doogie Howser, MD.
Yeah. So this was a movie based on an H.P. Lovecraft story, one that I'm not familiar with. Yeah, what'd you think?
Oh boy. Oh, I should say, eeyaw. Eeyaw.
I liked...
The makeup was all cool.
Yes, I was going to say, a lot of the makeup, a lot of the practical stuff, I really liked. The CG was not good. Granted, it's a 22-year-old movie, but still.
Was it from 21?
2001.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's a space odyssey.
So, yeah, the practical stuff looked really good. Like, all the fake faces and the little Eldritch Horror King guy at the end. And just, a lot of that stuff looked great. The fire was all real fire, so that all looked good.
Mm-hmm.
I love the set design. The whole village just looked really cool.
I don't think that was a set. I think they just found a cool place to film.
Even better.
Just a really badass fishing village.
Yeah, just really cool on-location shooting. But yeah, visually, the movie is great. Unfortunately, after that, everything kind of falls apart. Well, no, the acting wasn't bad either. But, I don't know. I don't think the story was necessarily bad. I just think it was paced weird. Like, it was slow to get to anything. Like, it took way too long to really get somewhere. Most of it was just him trying to run away. And, like, I think a lot of, like, horror or monster movies are just the main character or characters trying to run away, but I feel like it's usually more interesting than this.
I don't know, man. This is a mixed bag here.
Like, it's hard to verbalize. Like, it wasn't terrible, but I did love it.
My biggest thing is whenever an action something happened, it was very choreographed and pulled punches, and like the guy could have been stronger and done more than he actually did, but I don't know if he was just a pushover. I liked that it was inevitable, and even though he tried to get away from it, everything he did led back to being who he was supposed to be.
And what he saw in the dream. Even when he tried to kill himself at the end there.
Right. But yeah, I think it just, the action shots, like, I didn't mind that it was slow, because there was a lot to look at and that I enjoyed watching in the slow moments for some reason. But when the action happened, it didn't quite pay off the way you wanted it to, so it kind of felt like a little bit let down.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a lot of good dark ambiance, and like
I'm fine with the story.
When he was running away, it was tense, but it was just, I don't know, maybe you're right, maybe it was just the action was lackluster, so it made everything feel slower because the build-up never paid off. Like, even the big fight at the end where he's trying to, like, fight off the whole village there, like,
was that
I don't know, it was very anticlimactic, just kind of felt like a letdown. I will say, I liked that, I even mentioned this to you as they were doing it, when he pulled his girlfriend back up, which was BS, because he did like 3 cranks of that thing and she was back up. But I said, like, oh man, it would be so great if when he pulled it back up, her hands were just severed below the wrist and just chewed off. And they didn't do that right away, but then they dropped her back in and she got eaten, and the second time that's all it was. And it was really cool. So they actually did the shot. I had no idea that was coming. That was really fun.
I wanted to see Tentacle Sister.
Yeah.
I wanted to see her walk on her tentacles, but she crawled everywhere, and then the very last thing that she did was she walked on her tentacles, so I got that payoff, I guess.
Yeah. You know, it's funny, too, there was one
the scene where they ripped his face off!
Oh my God,
that was so good!
Yeah, I can't believe I forgot that. They degloved his face, and they really did it in camera.
Oh my God, like, that was so good looking.
I kept thinking they were going to cut away. No. And first, like, they brought it up above his chin, and then it cut away. I'm like, oh, that's all we're going to get.
They kept going,
and no,
the
they
eyeballs,
went right back, and yes, whole face.
Skull.
That scene, I would say this is worth watching for that scene. That was really, I really enjoyed that scene. That was really cool.
That was good.
Like I said, all the practical and the makeup and the prosthetics and everything looked great. It was just the CG was the only visual portion of this that would be a detractor. Everything else looked really good.
Yeah.
And, like, the rain everywhere, which, like you said, had to be a nightmare for the people on set. Because when we did Willowvale, that was in the winter. And we had to be in the snow all the time. And that sucked. But we could, like, get warm in between takes or whatever. When you're soaked, you can't dry off between takes. Like, you're just wet. And that's your whole day. And every scene was wet. So that's every day of shooting for this whole movie.
Right. How do you not get, what do they call it? Swamp foot or whatever it's called? Where your shoes and just fungus growing all over?
Like, yeah, I don't... By the end of shooting, everyone in this movie had to be just the most miserable and unhealthy person in the world. Like, I could not have done it. If my socks are wet, my whole day's ruined and I'm done. Could you imagine 6 months of just everything wet always? Like, oh, God.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I can't think of what to rate this movie at all. I'm really torn on, like, how I even feel about it.
Yeah, this is a tough one.
Like, I didn't hate it. I don't love it. And there's a bunch of things I liked. There's some things I didn't, but I can't even really vocalize them. Like, I have no idea where I stand on this movie. I genuinely do not know how I feel.
I might give it a 7. It was just, when it was good, it was good. Prosthetics, that one dude with the fish eyes that just popped, that was, I just loved watching for him, and wherever there was a crowd scene. I wish I could understand what half the people were saying. Yeah. Especially that one dude that got his face ripped off, because I couldn't understand 90% of what he said.
And he was talking in English.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think I'm going with a 7. It was just good enough to... yeah.
You know what? I will go with your 7 because of the face peeling scene. I'm not even going to take the rest of the movie into consideration because I have no idea how I feel. But that scene was amazing, so I will give it a 7 for that. Because that was top tier effects.
Yeah.
Like, that was so good. I really didn't think they were going to go for it. Like, because when they cut the neck and then the eyes, you're like, oh, it looks like they just traced over a cut with the knife. Like, it wasn't
right. It was that fake bloodline with an actual.
So
cut.
I'm like, oh, they don't really have the effects.
And they showed when they started doing the face peel, it was like all his real face with whatever latex, but you couldn't see the latex line where his that ended, and unless the whole thing was prosthetic. Like, if he had a prosthetic mask, like his nose was cut and his...
Oh,
Like, if that was all fake, that was the best prosthetic I've ever seen, because I couldn't tell if it was fake.
Plus, too, when they started peeling, he was still screaming. His mouth and jaw were still moving.
Oh, yeah.
So that was not a... Like, they were peeling a latex face off of the prosthetic underneath part.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just...
The layers.
It looked so good. Like, I cannot overstate how good that scene looked. That was incredible. Like, I know we talked about, like, Dolls had amazing practicals that were just a joy to watch, or Nightmare. Like, this is easily up there with those, that scene.
Oh, yeah.
It was just, oh my god, it was so good. So yeah, I will give the movie a 7 for that. Even if there were parts that I thought were slow, and some dialect I didn't understand, and overall I don't understand my emotions right now, like, that scene alone sells the movie. That was so good. So yeah, there you go. That's H.P. Lovecraft, Dagon. It wasn't made by him. He's dead. It was made by a bunch of Spanish people whose names I don't remember.
Except the director. He had the most American name. Him and the white Paul guy actor.
Yeah.
Were like the two Americans.
But, yeah, it was... I don't know what it was, but it's worth checking out.
You know, I don't know if it was like a made-for-TV movie, because it had those...
It
had those black cuts, like they made it for commercial breaks.
It might have been like a miniseries, like Fallen, or like The 10th Kingdom. It might have been one of those kind of things where it was made like in little blocks, then you put it all together and get the full story. Because, there was like 2 or 3... You pointed out on that first one there, where it's like, oh,
the boat
commercial
came
break.
Back, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That was weird. I knew nothing about this going in. I knew it was based on an H.P. Lovecraft story, and that was the extent of my knowledge. So I don't know where it came from, or who made it, or anything. So, yeah, that was that.
Interesting watch, yeah.
And then come back for tomorrow night, because that's the last one. we've one movie left, and maybe I saved the best for last. I don't really know because I know very little about this next movie too. So we'll see.